Hello, welcome back to Buckle Up. My name is Rob Wilson and this is the Hyundai Kona Electric. And today I'm going to find out if it's any good. Okay, but before we drive it, let's have a look around the outside, and we'll start first of all, as usual, at the front, where if you are familiar with how the Kona looks, you can get it in hybrid, plug-in hybrid or electric form. It looks very similar and very distinctive. This is a light bar that sort of sits at the top of the front end of the car, and it is really distinctive, especially at night when you see one coming towards you. And then that means that your headlights are actually much further down in the front bumper here. No grille needed here, obviously. You do have some air intakes further down, but also you will note here you actually have your charging flap at the front, which is a bit unusual. Normally they're put down the side nowadays, but yes, here it is. You've got CCS fast charging, and I'm going to put fast charging in quotation marks because you can charge this at 101 kilowatts in theory, which means that if you did go to a fast charger, something of 150 kilowatts there or thereabouts, it would take around 40 minutes to charge, which is quite slow. But if you have a home charger, if you're lucky enough to have one of those, then good news, it will charge overnight 10 to 100% in about 8 hours, so not too bad there. Anyway, I'll close that up and we'll go and have a look down the side. Here the divisive styling continues with some quite angular wheel arches, inside which we find these rather nice diamond cut 19-inch alloy wheels. We've got these body coloured mirrors, we do have some roof rails and a sunroof on this top spec car, and then obviously, as I was mentioning, no charger here because that's at the front. Here at the back we've got a small spoiler, rear wiper, and then we've got this very similar styling to the front. It's almost emulating the front with this very thin, full width light bar that goes the whole way across the car, and then you've got your other lights further down on the bumper here, seat brake lights, indicators, all of that sort of stuff. We've also got these pixel lights down here and a central fog light down there as well. Then we've just got the simple Kona badging, Hyundai Electric, nothing fussy. So let's open up the boot, which is of course electronic on this model, and then in here you'll see a vastly improved boot size over the old car. It's now 466 litres with the seats in place, and if you fold those seats down then it is 1,300 litres. Now you can see I've got my cables in here at the moment, but if I lift up this boot floor they can very easily be stored under there because there is actually quite a lot of room. Under there you'll also find your tyre mobility kit, and that's sort of it. We do have some hooks around the place as well in each of the four corners. We've got some hooks up here as well. We've got a light, but there's no 12-volt socket, but I'll explain why that is when we get into those back seats. But nice square shape, no load lip, no fuss, easy to use, big thumbs up. Let's go and try out the back seats. Okay, so here we are in the back, and I guess I'll start by talking about how much room I have back here. And this seat is not set up in my driving position because it has a fancy easy access mode. So it goes all the way back to let you in and then moves forward into your memory position. So this is actually as far back as this seat will go. Now, for reference, I'm 6'2", 188 centimeters tall, whichever takes your fancy, and you can see even I can fit my legs behind this front seat without them touching, and I've got enough foot room for my shoes to go under that front seat as well, so I'm not wanting for space there. And if I sit all the way up straight, my head still doesn't quite touch the ceiling. Now this is really rather good for the back of one of these kind of cars. It's not every car in this class where I have this amount of room. I'm thinking of the Stellantis products, you know, your Peugeots, your Citroëns, your Alphas, your Vauxhalls, all of, you know, every single car that they make has terrible space in the back in my opinion, but this is really rather lovely. Now, We've also got practicality wise, we've got a armrest in the middle with 2 cup holders in it. This middle seat below it is raised and narrower, so I wouldn't want to be 3 up in here for a very long time. But because the floor is completely flat, there is probably enough foot room there. We've also got, because this is a top spec ultimate trim, we've got heated seats here in the back, 3 stages on these outer ones. We've got bottle holders in the door. We've got our own air vents here in the back, but we can't set the temperature for what we would like. I've also got a big 3-pin plug charger here in the center, 250 volts. So if you really want to quickly charge something, you can do so through that. But there are 2 USB-Cs also located down there as well. We've got Annette, she's on the back of the seats. We've got Isofix on the outer seats as well. And this lovely cream light interior, whatever you want to call it, it really does lift the cabin and makes it feel a bit more special. But that's only available on these top trim cars. But yeah, I mean, from where I'm sitting, not much I can complain about at all in the back here. So let's go and see what's going on up front. Well, up front, I have to say that the good news continues, because I really like how this car is set out. I'll start by talking about the steering wheel, what I've got in front of me. It's fairly conventional, nearly round as well, which is also a good thing. No Hyundai badge, or Hyundai, because we've got the 4 dots in the centre here, which of course is the letter H in Morse code. On the left-hand side of the steering wheel, I've got all of my cruise smart functions here. So I can have my lane centering on, I can have my radar set at whatever distance I need to, speed settings. And then on the right-hand side, I've got my more infotainment controls, telephone controls, that sort of stuff, as well as a favourites button, which you can set to a few different things. Now, we've got standard wipers, indicators, lights, stalks, but we've also got a drive selector to the right-hand side. So you twist it for D, reverse, push at the end in for park. Fairly conventional once you understand it, if you haven't seen one of those before. Nice and easy. We've also got a few buttons to the right of the steering wheel as well. So you've got handbrake release, traction control off, light level settings, the boot release. We've got 2 level memory seat functions as well up here on the door. I've got 2 12.3-inch screens, one for the driver and one for the infotainment. The driver's one has all of the usual standard stuff that you would want to see: your speed, your range, how efficient you're being, all of that sort of lovely stuff. Central one, obviously got all of your radio, sat nav, Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, all of that lovely useful stuff is in there. But my favourite thing is that all of the stuff in there doesn't need to be controlled through there. We have buttons. Look at this, actual things to press. Thank you, Hyundai, for listening. They have made a big point of this recently, which I am incredibly happy about. So we do have proper volume, tuning, shortcut buttons along here. We've got climate control buttons. You will note that you can have driver only settings if you want to save the range on the car. We have proper buttons for moving up and down the temperature and the fan speed and that sort of stuff. We've got proper physical controls down here for the heated seats, the cooled seat, the heated steering wheel, the cameras, the parking sensors. Just bloody fantastic. Thank you so much for doing this. We've also got some charging points. We've got 2 USB-Cs. We've got a 12 volt hidden behind this little cover here. And then this section is a G phone charger. Then we've got a storage bin down here in the center, and we have cup holders that you can release by pushing these buttons. We've got an armrest under which we have a little tray which you can either keep or remove, and then you've got quite a large bin in there, definitely enough room for some tissues, I don't know, whatever else you think you might need in the car. And the cup holders that work in the middle also carry the medium-sized bottle of water that fits in the door pocket. We do also have a shelf thing on here, not sure how useful that is, but the glove box is full size and that is really good to see. And then these seats, again, lovely, supportive, comfortable, electrically adjustable in this top spec car. We've also got the sunroof, which I mentioned, a heads-up display in this model, and then in terms of materials, everything where you would reasonably be putting your hands feels solid, secure, soft where it needs to. The plastics are fine. I'm just so happy that it's a proper interior, in my opinion, with things that I can actually press and use without having to take my eyes off the road for about half an hour. And the other really good thing is the annoying beeps and bongs can be turned off by just pressing and holding the volume button down. So that would mute the speed warning systems that are a bit temperamental in all of these new cars that have to have it now by law. But speaking of things to do while we're driving, let's go out and see what it is like. Right, okay then, so driving the Kona electric. And I guess I'll start by talking about the stats, what we've got going on here under the skin. So there used to be two options on the Kona when this car first launched in terms of battery size. There was a 48.4 kilowatt hour battery and a 65.4 kilowatt hour battery. They've since got rid of that initial entry level or smaller battery, and now it doesn't matter what spec level you go for, you get the same battery. So that makes it nice and simple. So there are 4 specs to choose from. There's Advance, N-Line, N-Line S and Ultimate. Now, the entry-level Advance starts at £35,000. The N-Line then goes up to £37,000. And then both the N-Line S and Ultimate specs cost the same price, which is £39,400. Now, all of those prices are before Hyundai match the current government electric car grants. So depending on when you're watching this video, they could be 1,500 quid cheaper than those advertised prices. This one, as I've mentioned, is the Ultimate, but we do get exactly the same underpinnings as all of the other specs. So with that in mind, we have 218 PS, 255 Newton meters of torque, a 0 to 60 time of 7.8 seconds and a top speed of 107 miles per hour. Now we also have a WLTP range of 282 miles. Now obviously that is subject to test conditions. When I've charged this car up to 100%, it was giving me a range of between 240 and 250 miles. And I have actually done a really long run in this car. I did 180 miles and it averaged 3.5 miles per kilowatt hour. So pretty respectable, really. I mean, I've been driving it around town a lot as well, and it'll easily do 4 miles per kilowatt hour. So it is quite an efficient battery, even in the most extreme circumstances of driving, 70 miles an hour for 3 hours. It didn't need to charge up, and I didn't really have any range anxiety because I know that what it's reading out on my screen is pretty accurate. So I didn't, I don't feel that sort of, oh, well, yes, but we're driving on a motorway. Can it figure it out? Yes, it can. So in terms of how it actually drives, well, it's not the most relevant thing in this sort of crossover EV class, but it's, perfectly fine. It's not gonna set your pants on fire or anything, but the steering inputs are reasonably direct. I can sort of feel what's happening under the car, but at the end of the day, this is not something that you're going to be buying if you're wanting to set lap records or if you want the most driver feedback when you're on a British B road. All that you need to know is it's very easy to drive around town. It's very comfortable and quiet, especially when you're doing those long journeys on the motorway. And I have everything in here that I could possibly think that I would need in this top spec version. And going back to the price, this top spec version still under that £40,000 bracket, so it avoids the luxury car tax that we have here in Britain, so saving you money on your road tax there as well. A couple of standout features that I really like about Hyundais generally, especially their EVs, is the regen that we've got available. I've got the paddles on the back of the steering wheel, so I can choose between 3 levels of regen, and then I can actually hold it again to get the max I pedal, is what they call it, driving. So that means that the car will come to a stop if I lift my foot off the accelerator. It's basically one pedal driving, but for legal reasons, they can't really call it that. That's really good, and it works really well. The other thing is, when I indicate, I get a little camera come up in my digital display here so that I can see in my blind spot on both sides, and that is really genuinely useful, especially when you're on a motorway. So that feature, love it. Only seems to be Hyundai and Kia that do it though, for some reason. Might have a pattern on it that I don't know, but it's really, really helpful and makes driving just that little bit easier. But anyway, that's probably enough driving around now, so I will pull back over and then I will do a bit of a conclusion. Okay then, so that is the Hyundai Kona electric tested. So what am I thinking? Well, I'll start with the things that I'm not 100% convinced by. The charging speed is pretty slow, especially compared to what else is out there nowadays. Looks are divisive. I quite like them. And then pretty much else I quite like. So I like the efficiency, I like the tech that it's got inside it, I like how comfortable it is, I like how quiet it is, and I think it's a reasonable size. And the boot, much bigger than the old one. So lots of things to like, not so many things I dislike. Overall, pretty good. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Comment down below and let me know your thoughts on the Kona Electric. But most importantly, please subscribe and ding the notification bell so you never miss one of our uploads. If you want to support what we do, you can head on down to the description where we've got links to our merch, social media, and you can become a channel member right here on YouTube. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.